Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Echo Based Gaming. In this episode we will go over some of the cards that they spoiled so far.
Yep.
Because there were a lot of cards spoiled in the meantime and we have two lives to talk about, we made a selection.
Yep.
And yeah, as previously mentioned, we will also talk about the two lives.
Yep.
So they had the celebration event and a live about the multiplayer format, which is called the Twin Suns.
Yep.
So yeah, what did you think about it?
Yeah, like you previously mentioned, a lot of cards have been revealed since our last live.
Yep.
So we made a selection, our favorite cards that have been spoiled, and talk about them. Yeah, so with those cards, now the complete set is revealed,
Yep.
the first set. And so we can now start building real decks with the complete set
Yep.
and actually test for tournaments or weekly play. And one thing that I noticed in the first set is of one type of card that I'm missing in this first set are blasters.
As an upgrade.
Yeah, we have lightsabers and melee weapons, but we don't have blasters.
Yeah.
And there are really iconic blasters in Star Wars.
Yeah, to be honest, I expected it, a grey card to be a blaster upgrade.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, the Rebel Blaster or the Stormtrooper Blaster are great non-unique upgrades. Yeah, that you can use for a card like that. Or the Blaster of Han Solo or Chewbacca's Bowcaster.
Yeah, or Boba Fett.
Yeah, so a lot of iconic blasters.
Yeah.
And but maybe they want to focus on blasters in the next set or the set after that, and they want to focus more on upgrades.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of upgrades in the first set.
No, and I do think that even though, of course, there are a lot of blasters in Star Wars, they are less iconic than lightsabers.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I could see why they chose to go more for the lightsaber side and then do
Later.
blasters later.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cards that we have chosen to reveal or to talk about during this video.
Yeah.
So I will start with Saw Gerrera. It's a ground unit of 4-cost double aggression aspect with a stat line of 5/4 and the rebel trait. And the ability, as an additional cost for each opponent to play an event, they must deal 2 damage to their base. Yeah, we're also going to talk about the multiplayer later in this video. And Saw is a great example for a character that is great in the multiplayer format.
Yeah.
Because it says each opponent and not just an opponent. So that's already nice.
Yeah.
And I think a strong stat line for a 4-cost double aspect card.
Yeah.
Of
and
course.
Quite a strong ability as well.
Yeah. Indeed, a strong ability. And I think a perfect example for a great ability that fits the aggression aspect. It controls your opponent.
Yeah.
Because they now have to think twice about before playing events. Because you're due 2 damage to their base for every event that they play. So it's not nothing. And yeah, it is controlling your opponent, like I said, but it is in a very aggressive way.
Yeah.
So it's not increasing the cost of events or something like that, but it's just straight damage to the base.
Yeah.
And it actually helps you in winning the game because the win condition is defeating the base.
Yeah.
So it directly helps with that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great card for Premier, but especially for Twin Suns multiplayer format.
Yeah.
However, it does put a target on your back.
Yeah.
As people are going to target you when you play this card, or even before you can play this card, when they know you play it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, politics is definitely an important thing in multiplayer format. Make yourself look weaker than you actually are.
Yeah.
That's really important in a multiplayer format, and that's why it's also such a nice casual format because these politics come into play.
Yeah.
And yeah, Saw is definitely a great card for the Twin Suns format, but also in Premier if you go the double aggression route.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first card is Sneak Attack. It's a 2-cost cunning event. It has the trick trait, and it says play a unit from your hand. It costs 3 less and enters the play ready. At the start of your regroup phase, defeat it. So I think this is a really nice card, especially in combination with Jabba, of course.
Yeah, it is a trick card.
Yeah, so it costs 1 less, so it only costs 1
Yeah.
when you have Jabba on the field.
And you already, if you don't play Jabba, win 1 resource, because you can play a unit that costs 3
Yeah.
for 2.
Yeah.
And with Jabba, you even win 2 resources with a card like this.
Yeah, and it comes in play ready.
Yeah.
So that's another bonus. You do have to defeat it at your regroup phase. So, but it could be a nice
Sneak attack.
a sneak attack indeed. Yeah, when your opponent doesn't expect it because you don't have enough resources for a big unit or something. You can play that immediately attack.
Yeah.
Or well, in your next
action.
Next action.
Yeah. Or the card has ambush. Yeah, so I think the title of this card explains this card perfectly, I think. Alright, nice card. And my next card is also an event. It's called Force Lightning. It's a 1-cost aggression villainy. It has the Force trait. And the ability, choose a unit, it loses all abilities for this phase. Then, if you control a Force unit, pay any number of resources and deal 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid this way.
Yeah. I think this is a nice counter to leader units, or just big annoying units in general. Yeah, I think it's a great card, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful card. Yeah. For 1, I think the first part of this card is already worth 1 resources, I think. Just choose a unit and it loses all abilities. Most cards in the first set do have abilities, so it actually works against a lot of other cards. And counter a unit with a big ability is really powerful, I think. And like we saw in the live, the Twin Suns live, it can actually really prevent cards like Shilroot, for instance, to even have an impact in the game.
Exactly.
So I think that you can really use this card for all sorts of scenarios. And then if you have a Force unit, then it becomes a really, really powerful card, I think. Because you can also do damage to that unit by paying resources. And this is, for instance, a card with no ceiling. So as long as you have resources, you can stack the damage.
Yeah.
So you can take out really powerful or big units with a lot of HP with just this card. So I think that I would already play this card if it just had the first part of this event. And the second part is just a big bonus for this card. And I'm even tempted to try this in a heroism deck for 3, if you have Force units.
Yeah. Okay.
So a powerful card, and I'm definitely going to experiment with this.
Yeah. Right, my next card is Gideon Hask. So it's a 5-cost ground unit with the Vigilance Villainy aspect, the Imperial Trooper trait, and has a stat line of 5/5. And with the ability, when an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit. So, well, as expected, this goes perfectly with Iden Versio.
Yeah.
She heals damage from the base when an enemy unit is defeated. So yeah, I think it's a nice combo.
Yeah.
And an interesting deck.
So I think Iden Versio is actually a nice leader, and she needed another card that for her playstyle, and now she has with Gideon. So I think that she now has some decent support for her win condition, I would say, or her playstyle.
Yeah, it's a 5-cost, so it's a mid-game card, I would say.
Yeah.
So you do have to survive the early game. But yeah, it's vigilance, so it's mid-range.
A lot of sentinel or shielding.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's shaping up to be a nice deck that I'm really interested in playing.
Yeah. And a nice card.
Yeah. Also a nice art.
Yeah. So my next card is another event. The Ewing Reinforcement, a 7-cost command heroism with the supply trait. And the ability, search the top 10 cards of your deck for up to 3 units with a combined cost of 7 or less, and play each of them for free. Put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order.
Yeah. Very strong card, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's why I chose it.
Yeah, especially again in Leia.
Yeah.
So it wants to play a lot of troopers. So you can find cards with a combined cost of 7, I would say.
Yeah.
I think a nice card.
Yeah, I think the top 10, search the top 10 is also a decent amount of cards to go through, especially because it is a 7-cost card, so you are mid to late game.
Yeah.
And then 10 cards of your deck is actually quite a lot
Mm-hmm.
because you used a lot of cards
Yeah,
already.
at that point you're halfway through your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is only 50 card deck, so 10 is already a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So actually also what this card does for you is having a card advantage,
Mm-hmm.
because you only play one card from your hand, but you gain 3 cards on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only card advantage, but also action
Mm-hmm.
cheating a little bit, because you gain 3 actions for the cost of 1 action. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting card. You do have to know what's left in your deck when you play this card,
Yeah.
because it's going to be a feel bad if you only reveal units that cost 4, for instance, so you can only play 1.
Yeah.
So it rewards the players that know their deck well and know what's still in there. And yeah, you definitely want to try to get those 3 units, or at least go to the 7 resource cost. So maybe a 3 or a 4 cost together. That's also quite nice. But you want to avoid situations where you only can play 1 unit, for instance.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Then my next card is Restock. It's a 1 cost event, neutral, so no aspect, and has the ability: choose up to 4 cards in a discard pile and put them on the bottom of their owner's deck in a random order. So why I picked this card is that this to me shows that the developers don't want mill to be a viable option.
Yeah.
Being able to, well, if you have 3 of those in your deck, you can just cycle them and never run out of cards.
Yeah.
It's not the strongest card. I don't think it will see a lot of competitive play, but it's a nice option if there are some decks who want to take advantage of mill.
Yeah. Yeah, or cards that, because you can also target your opponent's discard pile.
Yeah.
So it's also when we get a deck that benefits from certain cards in the discard pile. This is a great card to counter a playstyle like that.
Yeah. Or something that has to do with the amount of cards in a deck,
discard
or
pile.
a discard pile.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah. Yeah, I think, like you said, mill isn't a viable win strategy early on. I think they mentioned it in one of the first lives, that they didn't want mill to be a win condition early. So I think that is completely fine. Mill is actually breaking the rules a little bit, because yeah, you play with an altered win condition basically. And they already targeted mill already, that when you draw a card you don't immediately lose.
No.
So if you can't draw a card when you need to draw a card, you don't immediately lose the game.
No, you take damage.
You take damage, so mill is already slower than most games. But with a card like this, yeah, I think that prevents mill from being a viable win condition for now, at least. Yeah, so nice card. So my next card is another event. It's the Super Laser Blast. It's an 8 cost Vigilance Villainy with the traits Disaster and Tactic, and the ability Defeat all units.
Yeah. So a board wipe.
Yeah.
It's the first real board wipe in the game. I think this goes great in Twin Suns with Item Versio.
For instance, yeah.
She heals for each
Unit
that is defeated. So can heal quite a lot.
Yeah.
She's also defeated. It defeats all units, but still the payoff is big.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just having a board wipe in the first set is already nice to counter those swarm decks. Yeah, especially in Vigilance, where you want to counter those swarm decks or those really aggressive decks that play a lot of units. I think this is really nice.
Yeah.
And it is, yeah. So
it is an expensive card, though.
It is expensive, yeah.
8 resources.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It defeats a lot of units. Yeah.
True. So for my 4th card is, surprise, surprise, the Ghost. It's a 6 cost space unit with the Vigilance Heroism aspect, with a stat line of 5/5. It has a Rebel Vehicle Transport Spectre traits, and it has a shielded keyword with the ability: when played or on attack, you may give a shield token to another Spectre unit.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Nice for Hera.
Nice for Hera,
Yeah.
indeed. And I think this is what the Spectre deck also needed to protect your Spectre units.
Yeah.
In a way. For example, this ability goes great with Zed. So to protect him, so he can deal more damage twice.
Yeah, this is definitely what the Spectre unit needed. It's the first and only space unit that they have. So they were missing a space unit.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that it's the Ghost. And it also comes with 6 resources. So you can play it at the same turn that you play Hera, or you bring Hera out.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you mentioned, giving a shield to other Spectre units is great. It is only Spectre units. So you do need Spectres on the board.
Yeah.
But I think in a Hera deck that is
That's what you want.
That is what you already want. So yeah, I think a nice card for the Hera deck, definitely. Yeah, it is Vigilance. And I think it's Vigilant because of the ability. Giving shield units is a Vigilance thing to do.
Yeah, sure.
And with Hera, you don't have to pay the aspect penalty. So yeah, that's nice. My next card is a ground unit, Bib Fortuna. A 2-cost Cunning Villainy with the stat line of 1/3 and the trait Underworld Twi'lek. Also with the shielded keyword and the action Exhaust Bib Fortuna. Play an event from your hand, it costs 1 less.
Okay.
So works great with Jabba.
Yeah.
Because Jabba also discounts trick events. So now tricks can get a discount of 2.
Yeah. And Bib is events in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only trick cards.
No, but still worth it, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it also comes with a shielded keyword. So it comes into play with a shield, so it already protects itself. And then in combination with the Gamorrean guards that we talked about earlier, that have the Sentinel keyword, you can actually protect Bib and Jabba.
Yeah.
For a while. And I think that's exactly what you want. You want these 2 units to be on the board. You don't play them for their attack value.
No.
You play them for their abilities, and that is also exactly what these characters in Star Wars represent. So yeah, they care about events, and so it works well with Jabba. It's also something that the deck, if you want to play Jabba or build a deck around Jabba, this is something that Jabba needed, another discount. So I was already interested in building a deck around Jabba with the Boba Fett leader. And yeah, Bib Fortuna definitely goes into that deck and see how strong it is. But I think a nice card for this set. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. So my 5th and last card is the Bombing Run. It's a 5-cost aggression event with the tactic trait, and it says choose an arena, ground or space, and deal 3 damage to each unit in that arena. So it can deal a lot of damage. It's especially strong against swarm decks, I would say.
Yeah.
Dealing 3 damage is quite impactful. But where this card really shines is when you play yourself large bodies with grit.
Yeah.
For example, I'm going to sneak in a 6 card here, but the Gorilla attack pod, it has a stat line of 4/6 and has grit. So it can take the damage.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a 7/6 on attack. So that's quite some damage you can do.
Yeah.
And with the advantage then to deal a lot of damage to your opponent. So you do receive damage yourself.
Yeah.
So you do have to take that into account. But yeah, as I said, with grit combination, it's a nice card.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a card that you have to time well. And it's also a great card to get around Sentinel.
Yeah, sure.
Because you just deal 3 damage to every unit. So it ignores Sentinel. And that is something that aggression wants. It wants to get rid of those Sentinels and just be able to attack the base.
Yeah.
So that is a great card for it. And it is nice that you can choose an arena. So if there are a lot of space units, you often choose space and vice versa. So I think a nice card. Yeah. Great art, by the way. Another piece from Kyle Petchuk. So yeah, I imagine that this card looks really nice in hyperspace.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely a strong card. And with that, we talked about the cards that we've chosen for this preview, for this video. So then we go to all the 2 lives.
Yeah.
So the celebration event and the Twin Suns live. So last week on the Saturday, there was the celebration event. So they celebrated the release of the first set. or the upcoming release of the first set. And FFG actually invited some content creators and people from North America to come to the event and actually open packs and play the game for the first time with real cards.
Yeah.
So it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Also the studio.
Very jealous.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just great that FFG does something like this, and it also shows that they are treating this game different than all the other games in the past.
Yeah.
They talked about it, I think, in their first live for Star Wars Unlimited, that they are a different company now, and they treat this card game completely different than, for instance, Star Wars Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's just things like this where this shows that they are doing something different.
Yeah, but it's also, I think, a reward for the community.
Yeah.
Because it's a game that hasn't been released yet, and it already has a really active and quite a big community.
Yeah.
So yeah, they saw that and they want to celebrate it. And this was an event for the community.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone that was invited, they got a booster box, and they actually got a goodie bag with a booster box, a playmat, the 2 player starter kit, some tokens from the Game Genic. So it looked really nice. And they also did a live. So they first talked about the multiplayer rules, which we're going to go over later.
More in detail, yeah.
Yeah. And actually this also wasn't planned for this live. So I think that they were just eager to talk about this also so people could play multiplayer at the event itself. So that was really thought through by them because I think that they saw that people wanted to play multiplayer, and this was a great opportunity to do it.
Because especially in an event like this, when you want to play casually and want to
have fun
and a bit explore the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the multiplayer is a great format when you don't have a lot of cards, because it is a singleton format. So you can play it with just a few booster packs. So they talked about the multiplayer. They did a learn to play. They opened some packs live and talked about draft. Played a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to see. It also took almost 5 hours. So it was a long live, but it was worth every second.
Yeah.
And it was also really nice to see all the posts on Twitter and on the Discord for all the people that attended.
Yeah.
Like showing their pools and just photos in general. And one of the best photos, I think, was that after the event that someone showed a photo that they were still playing Star Wars Unlimited on the ground. And even the designers were sitting on the ground and wanted to play on the floor and wanted to play the game. So it also really showed everyone was really enthusiastic about this game and wanted to play the game. We also saw 2 showcases being pulled during the event.
Yeah.
So we got the Krennic showcase and the Palpatine showcase, which looked amazing, both of them. And also FFG spoiled 2 other showcases, Han Solo and Iden Versio, which also looked amazing.
Yeah, so I think Iden Versio is one of my favorites, to be honest.
Yeah, I think mine is Palpatine.
Yeah, he's also very cool.
Yeah, but they all are cool.
True.
And
but also here it again shows that the artists who made these pieces have kind of a free range. They are all in a different style.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see. Yeah, and they also talked about the process that goes into it. So they give different artists the same description, and this is how the alt arts are created.
Yeah.
So one artist makes the regular art, and the other makes a showcase,
or the alt art.
Or the alt art, or the promo. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You can really see that they kind of have a similar vibe or feeling, but they are completely different.
Yeah.
And it is with the showcases, but also like, for instance, the Mace Windu art or the Sabine promos from the weekly play.
Yeah.
They have a similar feeling, but completely different art and art styles.
Which I really like.
Yeah. So the celebration live was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
The FFG itself showed a lot. The content creators that were present also showed a lot on their social media. And I think if you want to see more of the celebration event, definitely go check the content creators that were there. They have a lot to say, and more to say than us, of course, because they were there, and they can show some insights. With the celebration event, they concluded with revealing the 2 leaders for the 2-player kit for the next set.
Yeah, very spicy news.
So we already have the 2 leaders for our next set, which are Din Djarin and Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
And what for me was interesting to see is that they are the 2-player starter leaders. So we already knew that there is a 2-player starter kit for the first set.
Yeah.
So this is not a product that we only see in the first set, but the future sets will also have these.
Well, at least the first 2.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that is amazing, especially for people that want to jump into this game around set 2. And it's a great entry point. Or if you just really like those 2 characters, if you are a fan of The Mandalorian, then it's a great kit to buy for yourself or for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very nice because The Mandalorian is very popular, of course.
Yeah.
It will draw a lot of new players to the game. They are interesting characters, both of them.
Yeah.
So
I wonder what aspects that they would be.
Yeah, no clue. Do you have a guess?
Well, I think what they also talked about in one of the lives is that you can take different times with these characters that suits different aspects. So, for instance, Moff Gideon can be really commander, but it can also be vigilance, if it's more like Director Krennic, for instance.
Yeah.
Or Din Djarin can be aggression, but it can also be cunning, or vigilance as the protector of Grogu.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I expect them to be different aspects than Luke and Vader. So I would say command and cunning. So command for Moff Gideon and cunning for Mando.
Yeah, it's definitely an option.
But yeah, I agree. More aspects would fit them.
And that's also the power of Star Wars Unlimited, that a lot of characters can be different aspects. Yeah, I think the biggest news that we got during this live were the multiplayer or the Twin Suns rules.
Yeah.
So I think that we can talk more about the multiplayer.
Yeah. So what I immediately noticed was that there are quite some similarities if you're familiar with Commander from Magic the Gathering. So it's a singleton.
Yeah.
It's 50 card deck, but with the release of set 4 in year 2, it will be an 80 card deck.
Yeah.
So
it is good to mention that the 80 is a set number, so you can't go over the 80.
Yeah.
Like with Premier, you can go over the 50, but it's not advised. Here, you cannot go over the 80.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And that's where the similarities end, basically. Yeah. So
the aspect rules already are similar for Commander.
Yeah.
That you can only include cards that have the similar aspects.
Yeah.
Of course, in Unlimited, you have the aspect penalty. I think it is what I thought was really nice is that you play with 2 leaders instead of 1. So it immediately gave me a little bit of Star Wars Destiny vibes, having 2 leaders.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's also when I'm able to build a deck, I'm definitely going to build a Qui-Gon Rey deck. Because that was my first Star Wars Destiny competitive deck that I played for a long time.
When they eventually released it.
Yeah, when I can, So that was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think that it's nice to have 2 leaders because you then have access to more aspects.
Yeah, you can have 3 or 4 aspects.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can really go wild with the aspect combinations.
Yeah, the only thing that is a must is that both leaders have to be either heroism aspect or villainy.
Yeah.
So you cannot mix heroism or villainy leaders.
So another important distinction between Premier and Twin Suns is that in Premier you can only take the initiative when you're out of things to do, and with Twin Suns you can either pick the plan counter or the blast counter. So now you actually have 3 counters to pick if you're out of actions. So you can still just take the initiative. You can take the plan counter, which lets you draw a card and put 1 card of your deck on the bottom of your deck. And a blast counter just deals damage to all your opponent's base. Yeah. So there are definitely some interesting tactics with these counters.
Yeah.
And like you already saw in the live, that some even took the plan counter earlier than the initiative counter, or the blast counter earlier than the initiative, because if you're an aggressive deck, you want to put pressure on your opponent's base. And these are just two great things to do.
Yeah.
And the win condition?
Yeah, so yeah, that's also interesting. So the win condition is basically triggered when the first player is defeated. The player who defeats that player gets +5 to its health, or heals 5 health
From base.
And then another round is played, and the player who has the most health left wins the game.
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that is better than the commander rule of winning the game, because in some games you get defeated really early on. It just happens in a multiplayer game if people just target you or you're open on an arena. And in commander, then you just sit back and you have to wait until everyone is finished. And commander games can take a lot of time, especially when you are with 4 people. And here in Star Wars Unlimited, that is actually avoided by, it's just 1 round that you have to wait, and then you can start over. And it also puts a dimension on the other players. So they know when one person is really low, now they have to plan ahead, like, okay, that opponent is going to be eliminated in the next round or the round after that. So you have to preserve your base health, because you know the game is ending.
Yeah.
And that really puts a dynamic on the other players as well.
Yeah.
So I think those were all the rules. They also showed another multiplayer game at the Multiplayer Twin Suns live, which was a great live. We just played 1 game, and it showed a lot of interesting combination of leaders. 4 completely different decks. 3 of them had aggression bases, so that was interesting to see. And
I think also at this point, it's nice to just have access to small units who can just deal out enough or quite some damage for the cost. So that's why a lot of people go for aggression.
So also 3 players played with 4 aspects. So you can actually put a lot of cards from the first set in your deck. Because it is a singleton format, you need a lot of cards. And for now it's 50, but later it's 80. And with just 1 set, I think that going the 4 aspects is a great way to put a lot of strong cards in your deck without needing cards to just fill your deck.
At this point, it's not a format where you are really looking for synergies, because it's really hard to find with singleton and this many different aspects. But I think I agree, this is the way to go, to have 4 aspects now. Just find the best cards who are generic, but
Xander, that had 3 aspects, did win. So that is funny.
So that's the pro of having the double aspect, is that you have access to double aspect cards, which are very strong. So there is a pro to that.
Yes, but even his aggression legendary, a really powerful card for the double aggression aspect, got discarded by Chopper. But he still won. And I think it was a really nice game to look at. I think it really showed how fun the Twin Suns format is, even with just 1 set. And how powerful some combinations are for heroes or for leaders. The designers did say that it is ideal with 4 players. You can also play it with 3. And when you go above 4, so 5 and more, it takes a lot of time to finish a game. But it's definitely possible. And if you know beforehand that it's going to take a little bit longer, then you definitely can play with more than 4 people.
The release is the pre-release starts in 2 weeks. The official release is at 3 weeks, so almost there. Really excited.
Just a little longer.
And I think with that we can conclude this video. So
Definitely.
if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully see you next time.
Bye.